Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I really want to discuss something with you today because I just had my world blown out of the water by a friend who let me know what she was doing with property. And I will tell you, I really have a fascination with the property. I feel like that's a sure way to wealth, but it's a slow race, right? It takes time. But a lot of times, one person might want to get into the property game, the property real estate race, but they don't have enough money. They can't buy it right now. Now is not the time because of their current financial situation. And so she was telling me about Airbnb co-hosting. And if you haven't heard of that, you've heard of it now. Co-hosting is where you don't own a property, but you help someone who is the owner of the property, and you manage the property while they either on vacation or they just don't want to do it anymore, and they give you a portion of what they make. And generally that can range from 15, 20%, 25%, probably max. But that was really fascinating to me. So basically you have the ability to make money from property, someone else's property, without having to take the risk of getting the loan from the bank yourself under your own name. And it's like a win-win. You just make sure that the messaging to and from the guests is fine and they have what they need. And I will mention, what did I write down? I was taking notes on this. So some of the responsibilities, okay, messaging guests, right? They ask about the property. You can approve or decline them depending on how long their stay is, et cetera, et cetera. You change passwords to the property if they have the self-auto entry locks. You can do that remotely. There's software to do that, which is blew my mind. Didn't know that existed. And I'm how did I not know this, right? But it was just really, really fascinating to me because there's that flexibility component, which not every job has. Some jobs you have to show up in person. Some you could do from your sofa. So it just kind of depends. Hold on one second. My nose is being special. I've got the window freaking open and my allergies are all over the place. So why would someone even want to have a coast? Why can't they do it themselves? Okay, that great question. Because what I learned, owners move to different states. Let's say you live in Seattle, and let's say the owner of a property decided they were done with Seattle, they wanted to move elsewhere, try a new climate, whatever, and they move, but they still own the property. They're not there in person to watch it. And so they hire someone who's local to kind of keep their eyes on it, but at the same time message guests. So then the owners have a chance to just put their foot off the brake for a second and just coast, not have to worry about it. And for your hassle, you're paid a portion of what they make every day on the Airbnb. So let's say that's 20%. If someone rents a house for $200, let's see, 10% is $20. So that would be $40. So that's a chunk of change. And all you had to do was respond to the message. And they'll have a regular standard welcome and then also a checking out form that you just sent out. So it's not you have to come up from scratch every single message. I mean, if there's something that pops up that needs to be addressed, then, there you go. But it's not going to take hours and hours. So it's relatively light work when you consider everything. If your main job is messaging guests, so that doesn't take all day, and then changing the passwords is really fast. And we practiced. So when my friend came over, we practiced doing that, and it took literally a minute or two. I feel to punch the buttons, make sure it was the password, and it was the one I wanted to give it. The whole thing was just really doable. And so I was surprised that such a thing exists, because for those of you that are stay-at-home parents, that might be something to seriously look into, because you don't have the loan risk if you're in a financial situation where you just can't take on a loan for a house. But also you can do pretty much most of this remotely. if not entirely remotely, depending on the houses that you choose to take on. Now, obviously, you're not going to be making the trillions if you only manage one house. So you'd probably have to take, like, if you think about just taking like 10 houses, 10 houses, and then each night that's rented, you get 20%. I'll just say 20 is what you decide to charge. 20%, that can add up to be something that you could live off of, potentially, depending on what each one of the houses charges per night. So it depends if it's a huge house where they're hosting like 13 member families, or like ones where it's just like a studio apartment. So it depends what you feel like you can take on. But I really like that aspect of it. Also, it can give you like a trial run of this. Like if you think that you want to do property long term in the future, like maybe get your feet wet and see what it's like. And then you could be like, yeah, I could do this. Or I think I'm going to have to find something else. So you get an idea of what you want. But also, word of warning, which I was made aware of also when I was getting a lowdown of what I was going to be doing. One thing to keep in mind is for when people want to rent from you for like a day, and they're local and they list that the house is going to be totally occupied, like for the maximum of people that place can hold, that is a sign of like they're going to have a party and it's going to be a one night party. So what you could also do is just like not accept any deals that are like less than 2 days. Because like teens or like young adults don't want to pay for an extra day. They just want that one day. So they're not going to rent for you. And then your place doesn't get trashed. And then your cleaning lady's not going to be like up a creek because she's got to like totally like do serious cleaning. So, that's something to keep in mind. Because usually like if you're local, you don't need to rent a place. You got your main place to stay. So the only reason you rent local is like you're planning on hosting some kind of powwow. So that's something to keep in mind. But I mean, your bases are covered after that. So I just wanted to pass this along because I was so blown away. Like really, I was like, this is doable, very doable. So if you are looking to make some side money, look into setting up a profile on Airbnb to do co-hosting. And I think you can become a super host at one point once you've done enough properties. I thought the property number was 10. Or was it 10 different states? Like, I'm not sure actually. So don't quote me on that little part. But definitely look into it if you are looking at making some money remotely.